let's get right into it. Yeah, I'm gonna go and check something on my phone. Want to get this out. What was actually gonna check my phone was when the next episode Dragon Ball Diamond is coming out in English. I refuse to watch in Japanese, so I think they drop the English episode once a week. Nah, I never been that type that wants to read just subtitles, and I refuse to when there's an English dub.
If you're a Dragon Ball fan, then you couldn't ignore the recent internet breaking moment, the return of Super Saiyan 4. Since its announcement in 2023, Dragon Ball Daima was met with immediate backlash, largely because it wasn't Dragon Ball Super 2. With the Dragon Ball anime currently tied up in legal issues, it's unclear when Super will return. Around the same time, the new Dragon Ball Super manga also went into hiatus, leaving fans with few options. Naturally, speculation and discussion about the new series took off, with the biggest question being where Daima fits into the overall timeline. Many, including myself, assumed it would take place after Super, or even directly tie into the end of Dragon Ball Z. This assumption made sense given the similarities to GT, where Goku would revert to childhood. However, it was revealed that Daima was set after the Buu saga, but before Dragon Ball Super. This assumption made sense given the similarities to GT, where Goku also reverts to childhood. However, when it was revealed that Daima was set after the Buu saga, many casual fans dismissed it as filler and chose not to watch it. On the other hand, a portion of the fandom had been growing eager for new Dragon Ball content since 2018 and decided to give Daima a chance. Since it was the only anime content available for the past few months, even skeptics tuned in for the first episode. This in turn sparked the ongoing Daima vs Super canon wars that we're currently living in. One of the first points of contention came in episode 1, when it was stated that Vegito defused inside Buu's body due to the magical properties of Buu's atmosphere, something that can even override permanent fusions. This explanation aligns with the original Dragon Ball Z, so that wasn't an issue. The controversy arose because Dragon Ball Super suggested that Vegito defused due to the 1 hour time limit, making the two explanations seem contradictory. Further inconsistencies appear when Shin and Kibito were shown as separate individuals in Daima's first episode, despite still being fused at the beginning of Dragon Ball Super. According to Daima, they defused using the same method as Vegito inside Buu's body. However, Super explicitly states that they used the Namekian Dragon Balls to undo their fusion, creating another continuity issue. I go into more detail on these inconsistencies in a separate video. Now, while these discrepancies raised questions and fueled debates, they weren't enough to definitively prove that Daima and Super exist in separate, unrelated continuity. However, they reignited the long-running Dragon Ball canon debate, with some fans arguing that one series contradicts or retcons the other. The next major controversy emerged in episode 10, when Daima expanded on the lore of the Demon Realm. It was revealed that the Demon Realm was actually the first plane of existence in the multiverse, predating the creation of the multiverse itself by Rimus. This revelation explained why so many characters throughout Dragon Ball share pointy ears, something previously assumed to be a simple design choice. Instead, Daima tied it directly to the Demon Realm's origin. I'll be releasing a video on that soon that delves deeper into this lore and its implications for Dragon Ball as a whole, so stay tuned for that. During this scene, we see a familiar Kai introduced in Dragon Ball Super, Gowasu, the mentor of Zamasu. Alongside him, we also see other Kais from different universes. Since the concept of multiple universes was introduced in Super, many fans at the time saw this as definitive proof of a connection between Daima and Super. Over time, other details in the series seem to reinforce this idea. One example is the appearance of Dragon Ball Super's version of Bardock at the beginning of Daima episodes. Another was a subtle moment where Bulma, after becoming young again, expresses how much she likes to look, paralleling to Dragon Ball Super Superhero, where she admits that she uses the Dragon Ball to maintain her youthful appearance. With all these little hints and clues adding up, it seemed like everything was coming together, and discussions about Daima being separated from Super began to quiet down. Some fans still questioned Rimus' role and his possible connection to Zeno, but with Gowasu and the other Kais appearing, the debate largely settled, at least for a short while. Then came episode 12, which introduced Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. I've already made a separate video discussing this form in detail and my personal thoughts on it, so I won't dive into that here. However, this was a major moment for the series and caught the attention of many fans who hadn't been watching closely to Daima. For Vegeta fans, this was huge. His transformation was everywhere on the internet, but along with this excitement, the canon debate reignited once again. After episode 10, most fans had accepted that Dragon Ball Daima and Super were connected, but the introduction of Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta raised new questions. Primarily, why Vegeta never used this form in Dragon Ball Super. This issue was somewhat similar to the previous inconsistency regarding Vegito and Kibito Kai. While some fans found it strange, it wasn't necessarily a deal breaker. There are plenty of reasonable explanations for why Vegeta never used Super Saiyan 3 in Super. The biggest question was why he didn't use it against Beerus, but a simple answer could be that he deemed the form inefficient and chose not to rely on it. While some fans weren't satisfied with this reasoning, it was generally accepted as plausible. Everything seemed to be settling down until episode 18 delivered one of the most shocking moments in recent Dragon Ball history. For the first time in 28 years, Goku once again became a Super Saiyan 4. This was such a massive event that Crunchyroll experienced streaming issues due to the overwhelming number of viewers tuning in after that episode's release. With the hype, however, came another wave of heated debate. The return of Super Saiyan 4 and Dragon Ball Daima immediately reignited the canon wars in full force. The biggest issue was how this transformation fit into the greater Dragon Ball timeline. Since Goku never used or even referenced Super Saiyan 4 in Dragon Ball Super, it raised serious questions about continuity. Fans could overlook the fact that Daima's journey to the Demon Realm was never mentioned in Super, but the idea that Goku had access to this powerful form and didn't use it against Beerus was a much bigger issue. However, there was an interesting twist to this situation. Unlike most Dragon Ball transformations, Super Saiyan 4's reappearance in Daima wasn't immediately explained. None of the onlookers commented on it, and even Goku himself didn't provide any insight into what was happening. This lack of explanation left room for speculation, keeping the discussion open-ended. Additionally, this transformation didn't follow the typical pattern where Goku unlocks a new form after being pushed to his limits. Instead, it was Neva's magic that allowed Goku to ascend, adding another layer of mystery to the situation. Although this moment made Super Saiyan 4 seem less significant compared to its predecessors, it did provide some support for those who believed Daima was connected to Super. Since there was no direct explanation for what had just happened, fans began forming their own theories. The most widely accepted idea was that Goku could only access this form within the Demon Realm and with Neva's magic. Given that Neva's magic was clearly the trigger for this transformation, this explanation made a lot of sense and temporarily eased the ongoing debates, at least until the following week. That's when things took a major turn. In the next episode, Goku, now in his adult form, was shown using Super Saiyan 4 without Neva's assistance. That was the tipping point. Without an explanation for how Goku could access this form on his own, it became clear to most fans that Daima and Super were not directly connected. Following this, fans received past arguments, such as the inconsistencies with 𝗙𝗡𝗡𝗓, Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, and other details leading to what seemed like the final verdict. Daima was not part of Super continuity. However, there was still one episode left, leaving a small chance for everything to be tied together and for the confusion to be resolved. The fandom as a whole eagerly waited the finale, hoping for answers. In the final episode, just minutes before the series concluded, we got a scene of Goku and Vegeta discussing Super Saiyan 4. Goku revealed that he had always possessed the power to transform, but never realized he could. And with that, it seemed like the debate was effectively settled. For most of the fandom, this was the final confirmation that Daima was not connected to Dragon Ball Super. But the discussion didn't end there. Not only did people claim that Daima was separate from Super, but some even argued that Dragon Ball Super itself was no longer canon within the overall Dragon Ball storyline. Others, while agreeing that Super and Daima were disconnected, insisted that Daima was the non-canon story, essentially taking on the same role as GT. And that's kind of where we are right now. Now that you're caught up, let's talk about it. If you believe that Dragon Ball Daima isn't connected to Super and instead serves as an alternate continuation of Dragon Ball Z, I have no argument against you. Dragon Ball has a history of leaving many things unexplained, often allowing fans to interpret events in their own way. The Japanese perception on canon, or rather the lack of emphasis on it, is evident in how the franchise has evolved over the years. I can understand why a casual fan will reach this conclusion, especially given the limited information provided by the creators. It makes sense. However, for those who take more of an analytical approach, examining the fine details and deeper implications within Dragon Ball, this discussion is more for you. Despite what we saw in Daima or even Goku's statements in the final episode, I don't believe that Super Saiyan 4 outright prevents Daima from being connected. Let me explain. Firstly, it's important to recognize that Dragon Ball Super currently has two different versions of its story, the anime and the manga. While both started similarly, the only minor differences in the retelling of the movies, they diverge significantly starting with the Universe 6 vs 7 tournament. For example, in the manga, the tournament setting looks different, and Goku utilizes Super Saiyan God, whereas in the anime, he instead showcases Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken, one of the coolest transformation combinations in the series. This distinction will be crucial later when discussing what is and isn't canon. But for now, let's return to Super Saiyan 4. In the Dragon Ball Super manga, during Goku's fight with Beerus, he states that right now, this is his final form. Many have interpreted this as Goku directly confirming that Super Saiyan 3 is his strongest form at the time, which would contradict Daima if the series were connected. However, I believe this statement actually supports the idea that Daima and Super could still be a part of the same timeline. The key phrase here is right now. The wording implies that at some point in the past, Super Saiyan 3, or even another form, may have been his strongest. Since Daima takes place 3 years before Super, we have very little knowledge of what happened during that time. We saw Goku unlock Super Saiyan 4 after Neva used magic to awaken it, but that doesn't necessarily mean he could use it freely afterwards. We don't fully understand how Neva's magic works or if its effects are permanent. Admittedly, the way Goku later transformed transforms into Super Saiyan 4 as an adult suggests that he retained the ability. But this wouldn't be the first time in Dragon Ball where Goku achieved a form more than once, yet couldn't assess it later on. A similar situation occurred in the Dragon Ball Super manga during the Tournament of Power arc. When Goku first achieved Ultra Instinct Sign, he was unable to hold on to the form for long, and Whis noted that he hadn't yet mastered it. Later, when Android 17 seemingly sacrificed himself, Goku, overwhelmed with emotions, tapped into the form once again. As the battle progressed, he evolved into Master Ultra Instinct. However, despite reaching this level, Whis later explained that Goku hadn't trained enough to wield the form properly, meaning he couldn't maintain it. This is further reinforced in the Moro arc, where it's revealed that Goku had been completely unable to use Ultra Instinct since the Tournament of Power. Even though he assessed it multiple times before, his lack of proper training prevented him from using it at will. The same logic could be applied to Super Saiyan 4 and Daima. Goku may have unlocked it in the heat of the battle, but that doesn't mean he could use it freely afterward, at least not without further training or guidance. Much like how Mira served as Goku's mentor for better learning Ultra Instinct, perhaps Neva's influence was necessary for Goku to harness Super Saiyan 4. Without that guidance, he may not have been able to use it again after leaving the Demon Realm. This would directly tie into his statements in the Dragon Ball Super manga saying, "Right now, this is my final form." The counter argument to this theory is that Goku very clearly demonstrated his ability to transform into Super Saiyan 4. Unlike Ultra Instinct, where Goku never intentionally triggered the form and instead assessed it unconsciously, his Super Saiyan 4 transformation in Daima appears to be deliberate, and that's a solid argument. However, I have a solid counter to this as well. In the original Dragon Ball manga, when Goku first becomes a Super Saiyan in his battle against Frieza, he engages in a long and grueling fight. Eventually, after instilling fear in Frieza and believing that the battle is over, he powers down from Super Saiyan back to his base form, giving Frieza another chance and leaving for Earth. But as we know, Frieza refuses to accept defeat and attacks Goku from behind. Realizing that the fight isn't truly over, Goku transforms into Super Saiyan once again to finish what he started. At first glance, it appears that Goku is able to switch Super Saiyan off and on at will, even as early as his battle with Frieza, since he very clearly powers down and then turns it back on again. However, this isn't actually the case. Later, when Trunks asks Goku if he can transform into a Super Saiyan at will, Goku admits that at first he couldn't. It wasn't until he further trained with it that he was able to fully master control over the form. And this raises an interesting question. If Goku couldn't control Super Saiyan at will during his fight with Frieza, why was he able to power down and then transform again so effortlessly? And I'd say the answer lies in the nature of Saiyan evolution. Saiyans are known to grow stronger as they fight, often breaking their limits in high-intensity battles. It makes sense that in the heat of combat, Goku was instinctively able to transform again, and you can apply this same concept to Super Saiyan 4 and Daima. While locked in battle, Goku was able to reach Super Saiyan 4 again, even without Neva's direct assistance. However, just as with Super Saiyan and Ultra Instinct, it's possible that after Daima, Goku lacked the proper training to maintain or reuse the form. This would explain why when fighting Beerus in the Super manga, Goku explicitly states, "Right now, this is my final form." The phrase "right now" implies that he may have had access to something greater in the past, such as Super Saiyan 4, but no longer does. And this would align with the idea that over the 3 years between Daima and Super, Goku either lost access to the transformation or never properly learned how to control it. I don't think this explanation is a stretch either, but I also understand why some fans may still find it hard to believe. In any case, it seems highly likely that Daima will be connected to Super, even if they decide to explain it or not. And if that's the case, this interpretation could help make sense of everything when more information is revealed. In the Dragon Ball Super anime, Goku never directly states that Super Saiyan 3 is his final form. It's only implied. However, even in Dragon Ball Super Broly, Goku doesn't use Ultra Instinct, despite it being his strongest ability. And that's because he can't. If he could, he would've. So, in conclusion, the fact that Goku was able to use Super Saiyan 4 in Daima, but not in Super, doesn't necessarily mean that the two series aren't connected. But I understand why some fans feel that way. That's just my take though. What do you guys think? Drop a comment and let me know your thoughts. If you enjoyed this discussion, don't forget to leave a like on the video. And until next time, Majin Birds.
Majin Birds. Alright, I'm gonna get out of here. Appreciate y'all for joining in. I was just looking at my